I'm back. I can do this. How many times have I tried to start a video and talk? Let's not discuss it because it's probably disappointing to hear. Hi guys, my name's Lynn, and I am your friendly, average neighborhood cosplayer from Seattle, Washington. It has been a really long time since I've done a YouTube video, but I am determined to finally do one and get on here and talk to you guys and have some interaction within my community. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. I got it. I did it. I didn't trip over my words. We're all good. Okay, so now that we've gotten that out of the way, it is officially the first day of autumn in 2021. It's September 22nd. It is a good day for a pumpkin spice latte and some cozy socks in the Pacific Northwest because it's cloudy out and it's chilly. It's probably gonna rain in 10 minutes right as I have to walk home. So I thought, let's just do this video and let's get this out there. Today I am gonna be talking to you guys, hobby cosplayer, to other cosplayers or convention goers out there. And today we're gonna be discussing the pros and cons of the past 12 months. So, wow, has it been 12 months since September of 2020 when we were, 5 months into the pandemic thinking this is totally gonna end next week. This is totally gonna end next month. And here we are. We have made it through. We're still going. We're still chugging along, and we're still doing cosplay, or at least loving cosplay or appreciating cosplay for being a really awesome hobby. Most of us. So I thought what I would come on here to do is just discuss with you guys, one cosplayer to another, about things that have been pros and cons during this past year and how cosplay has kind of changed. A lot of events have changed, things have adapted, things have morphed into other things. And I thought, what a great way to come on and discuss it with my community than to just make a YouTube video and talk to you guys person to person. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you get some information out of it. If you don't like it, just hit that thumbs down button. No one ever has to know. So the first thing we're going to talk about, of course, has to be the negatives, the cons. Got to get them out of the way. And also, I think, you know what? Talking about bad stuff doesn't make it worse. It just makes it real. And it makes it a topic that we can discuss and be honest about. One thing I don't like about the cosplay community is a lot of times people will just not talk about things they don't like because they expect it to go away if they just never bring it up, which is total BS. It just makes people experiencing it feel extremely alone and isolated and question themselves, kind of being gaslighted by your own community, thinking if no one else is talking about it, is no one else experiencing it? Or is there a reason why I am? Am I at fault? So that's why I like to come on here and talk about bad stuff, because I want you guys to know you're not alone and a lot of us are experiencing the same problems. The first thing that I'm going to talk about, just a bad negative thing that's kind of happened, has been since conventions have been slowly reopening this past year, has been way less smaller vendors and artists actually being at the events. And I hate to say it, but I think a lot of artists did not make it through the pandemic financially. Without being able to go to conventions and sell your wares, if you're a traveling person, a traveling salesman, a traveling artist who relies on that income, a lot of people had to rely on other sources of income and eventually just couldn't keep up with the artist's life. It really, really sucks. I went to my very first convention this past summer. I'm going to do a video about it and I want to talk to you guys about it and how it went. But one thing I did notice is that there were very, very few small artists, and every convention I've been to has had, a plethora of small artists doing commissions, selling wares, selling drawings, posters, lots of stuff. And it was just kind of sad because I did notice the bigger vendors were there that you normally see, but the smaller artists had definitely fallen off and it was very minuscule. So one bad thing about pandemic life has been less artists, and I'm hoping that over time we'll be able to fix that. The second thing I want to talk about has been the sense of yes, but what if? And let me describe this a little bit. You're going to go to a convention and it's pre-COVID. You buy your plane ticket, you buy your convention badge for the weekend, you book a hotel, you get your friends to agree to go with you, they all pay you Venmo payments, and you're all good, you're set. and you ask for time off work and you get it accepted and you're all good to go. Like, that's all you have to do. Maybe you do this a few months ahead. Maybe you do it like last minute and do it a few weeks ahead. But regardless, you're going to an event. Good job. The likelihood of that event getting canceled, rescheduled, or something happening with your hotel or your plane or your travel is very minuscule. Like, it's very rare that that would happen. Post-COVID life, there is a sense of, I would love to go to this upcoming event, but what if COVID outbreaks happen? What if the event gets canceled, but I can't cancel my hotel? What if one of my friends gets sick and they have to drop out and we can't afford it anymore? Like, what if? There's this sense of something bad might happen and what's going to be my plan B, C, or D? The thing about this also means that a lot of people have been able to not really go to as many conventions as before because they just can't take the risk. Most hobby cosplayers like myself, we have a more strict budget about, how many times a year we can go to an event. If we have to take time off work, if we have to spend a certain amount of money on badges, things like that. And we can't just take risks of like, yeah, I spent $150 on my badges and now I can't use them, but they're not doing refunds because it's technically not a ticket, it's a membership. So as an example, SoccerCon, which is one of my favorite conventions ever to go to, I have had my tickets rolling for that for 2 years now because due to COVID, it didn't happen in 2020. Then it didn't happen in 2021. So it's rolled again to 2022 with the thought of, we don't even know if it's going to happen now. And I still don't have a ticket and I still don't have my money back. So like, my money might be gone. I might have, spent $125 for me and my spouse to go to something that will never happen. For someone that's really strapped with cash, that's a risk that they can't really take. And I completely understand that. I would not want to take a risk of booking an out-of-state convention right now with the thought of, my area is doing fine, but what if their area has a lockdown or something and then now I'm like stuck? So risky stuff. The third thing I'm going to talk about in the last con is the fact of, oh my God, and I hate to say this because it's something I have heard zero people address, but I know it's going on, is the fact of the divide between hobby cosplayers and sponsored or semi-professional or influencer cosplayers has just gotten so incredibly wide and so incredibly insensitive on the part of people who make money off of cosplay and not addressing that. The way I can only describe this as is when you're going through current social situations and people who have a large audience or a large income off of their audience don't address it in an appropriate way, it's almost condescending and insulting to people whose real lives have been affected by it. And there is literally no one in the world who hasn't been affected by COVID in some way or another. There are people who just have been stuck inside working their jobs from home in their small apartment for almost 2 years. There's people who have had loved ones die from COVID or who have been in scary situations health-wise themselves. There have been people who have lost their jobs, who have lost relatives, who have lost schooling, who have lost so much. And the fact of influencer cosplayers just saying, stay safe, everyone. I hope everyone's doing good. I hope everyone's okay out there and they're safe, is just, it's so freaking infuriating. And every time I hear that, I instantly unsubscribe from whoever is saying that because all I can think in my head is your situation is nothing like the rest of ours right now. And the fact that you can't even address that and say, you know what, I am really lucky that I live in this huge house with a giant workshop and I'm able to create cosplay and still make money off of it, while all you lowly people down there are stuck at home and can't do anything, at least address it. At least tell people, yes, I'm sponsored by these companies, so they send me free materials. I'm able to make enough money doing this job I love, and so I was able to buy a house with a workshop, but I understand if you guys out there aren't able to do this kind of work. So when people are releasing tutorials and patterns for major cosplays while everyone is stuck home during lockdown, all I can think is, why aren't you releasing simple patterns or instructions about things that would actually apply to your audience? So if your audience is hobby cosplayers who might want to buy your pattern at home because they don't know how to make patterns, why aren't you doing 10 ways that you can do cosplay in a small apartment, or 10 ways that you can recycle your old cosplays, or here are some smaller pattern items to get you guys through this quarantine time. Instead, it's almost like this no excuses sort of thing, like, oh, I'm at home making this huge elaborate cosplay that I'm going to enter into contests once quarantine measures are gone, while you guys are stuck at home trying to recycle through your old fabric because all the stores are shut down and you can't go shopping at them. It's a sense of disillusionment, I think, on their part, or a sense of if we just don't talk about it, we won't get people upset at us. But for many hobby cosplayers like myself that, I have limited amount of space I can make things in, it's just a little insulting. And it's definitely been a con because it's always been there. It's always been, some people, unfortunately, just they have more of an ability to make cooler cosplays than I do, and that's just the reality. But when that gap gets further and further, people are going to get more and more upset until people start to address it and go after those cosplayers who won't. Like having a larger home or workshop, that brings you a step up. Having an ability to make large cosplays. And then if you have a bigger online community or fan base, you don't have to go to a convention to get that social interaction or the people giving you compliments or the ability to show off your work. You have that fan base. That gets you another step up. And then, of course, we have the people making a lot of money off cosplay who have the ability to travel and spend more money because they're getting paid to, because they're sponsored to, because there's a larger, maybe a video game company behind it buying their plane ticket to get them to that event. That puts them another step up. That's another thing that hobby cosplayers don't have. And when you kind of reach to the top of those steps, those people are just kind of like looking down at everyone else and still giving out advice as if they were hobby cosplayers. So yeah. It's been frustrating, and I'm really hoping that other people address this issue because I do have people that I look up to, and many of those have done something positive within this quarantine time, this COVID time, to address, hobby cosplayers like myself. I hope others start to do the same. Okay, bad stuff gone. It's gotten out. We have word vomited the bad gross stuff out. So let's talk about some of the positives that have happened since COVID has happened in our lives. Since this past year has happened, I will say when you sit down and meditate and just take a moment to be thankful for what you do have, there are a lot of positives out there. And the first one that I want to talk to you guys about is one that I am so happy of seeing in my community, which is people finally creating or buying or wearing their bucket list cosplays. There is always this sense of when you do cosplay, you'll have characters in your head that you're like, one day I really, really want to dress up as Sailor Moon, or I really, really want to dress up as this obscure video game character from the 90s, or I really, really want to make this one costume, but it's just so elaborate and beautiful, it's going to cost me a ton of money. And people put it off for different reasons. They're like, I want to lose more weight, or I want to have a different body type. I want to save it for a certain convention. I want to save it for a big convention, a really important one. I want to save it to when I have a huge group of characters to go with me together, so I'm not just one Sailor Scout, it's like all of us. We always give ourselves excuses why we can't do that character at that moment, or buy that costume, or make that costume. And this past year has been this mental attitude of, we don't know what's happening, we don't know what's going to happen, let's do it now while we still can, like a now or never sort of thing. And I love that. I love that people are like, screw life, screw all this bad stuff, we are gonna make ourselves happy. We're gonna make positive things happen. If I have to put together a closet cosplay of Sailor Moon, I'm gonna take the best selfies I possibly can, and I'm gonna plaster them all over Instagram, and I'm gonna have a great time. And then we have the people who are stuck at home working on their laptops day after day and have slowly over time collected all the pieces they need from online fabric sellers and Amazon and are slowly putting together the best costumes they have ever made, something that is totally out of their league, and they're like, you know what, screw it, it's now or never, I'm just gonna do it. And then we have the people who have amazing cosplays that they finally saved up the money to buy, and they're wearing them and watching Disney movies at home while dressed in a giant Belle ball gown because that was their dream, to always be Belle ever since they were a little kid. And that is a huge, huge plus. I love seeing people just going, there's no time like the present. Just do it. If it will make you happy, if it's something you've always dreamed of doing, now is the best time to do it or to start it. And I'm really proud of my community for doing that and for having the mindset and the support for others to live out their own dreams. The cosplay community can be a little poop sometimes, and we can have issues, but we can also have really, really cool dreams that we support each other to do. So good job, guys. It's now or never. Do it today. You never know when you might get the chance again or what tomorrow's going to hold. The second positive I want to talk about has been the complete polar opposite of the first con, which is now that there are a lot less conventions and meetups and things to go to, a lot of artists have switched to selling their wares on Etsy. So it used to be a lot of characters and shows and things. If you went on Etsy, you might find a few things by them, but over the past few months, I have noticed an explosion of Etsy artists, people selling everything, doing a lot of commissioned costumes, selling patterns, like even really teeny tiny artists selling their own patterns, learning how to create them. I've seen a lot of people selling a lot of lesser known artwork or lesser known character-based items, which has been super awesome. And I was even able to get my Secret Santa gift, which I do online every year, totally off of Etsy, because the person liked a few fan-based things, and I was able to even find Christmas-themed thing like ornaments and facial masks that had designs printed on them, like of these video games, and I thought that was so cool. Like, good job, guys. I know life kind of sucks right now for smaller artists who normally go to conventions, but the ability to go on Etsy and reach people all the way across the world has been really cool. And as of this past year, I've bought from the UK, I've bought from Australia, and more recently I even bought from Germany. I leave reviews and take pictures of everything. I try to be a really good buyer, but the ability to just go on there and have a larger variety of things to choose from, I don't have to be like, oh, I can't afford the $500 commission cosplay, because there's someone that does a different version of it for a different price. And people take payment plans now, and people just do so many really cool things. So I think that has been a huge plus. The third thing I want to talk about has been online groups and forums giving hope and helpful advice and just positive words to people who really, really need it. I've seen everything from people saying like, I really want to start cosplaying. I found cosplay during this time of quarantine, but there's no conventions coming up, and people giving them ideas about like, oh, here's how to take pictures of yourself at home, and here's how to set up camera settings, and here's a really good camera to get you started, and just giving them really helpful, kind words instead of being like, oh, well, kind of shit out of luck because there's no conventions right now. Instead, giving them helpful advice and being really kind and positive to them. I've also noticed a lot of people just leaving more comments and likes on people's costumes in general. So one thing in the cosplay community, especially online, has been Work in Progress Wednesday, which is every Wednesday. People post pictures of what they've been working on, and also Show Off Saturday, where you post something that you recently completed that you just want people to look at it. You want to feel good about it. And people have been incredibly kind, incredibly understanding, positive, like really pushing others, like being helpful, but also being like, wow, that looks really, really good. I have tried to go on there and leave as many comments and likes as I possibly can, because what we all want right now is social interaction. And if we can't get it in person, the second best place to do it is online. The very last thing that I want to talk about in our positive category, and to just bring this list to the very end, is the fact that conventions that are happening right now have been nothing like I would have expected them to be. During the time of quarantine, I thought, how are people ever going to get over their fear of others and of getting sick? Is social distancing going to be something that like is so extreme that people will just not want to talk to strangers? They won't want to take pictures with them. Will conventions be this awkward thing that you go to and you walk around in your costume and people take pictures from far away, but they're not going to talk to you because talking means getting up close? It was just, I don't know, like unsettling, and I felt nervous about it. But after doing a convention this summer, I feel so much better. I'm really, really glad I went, because it just proved me wrong. People were talkative, they were warm. I got a lot of compliments. I got a lot of requests for pictures. People wanted me to take pictures with their kids. People wore masks. People didn't wear masks outside. No one told me to wear a mask or to take my mask off. Everyone was extremely understanding and kind, adaptable, just everything. And this was also in a place that I can definitely tell you I would have thought I would get more judgment than I did. So it's kind of funny because I feel like no matter what I do, wear a mask, don't wear a mask, stand far away from people, take a picture up close, I was just like, I feel like someone's gonna get upset, so I was very nervous about boundaries. But people were able to express their boundaries in a kind, positive way. No one made me feel unsafe. No one made me feel bad for whatever I was doing, and it was awesome. So I can definitely tell you, if you are out there, a cosplayer, a convention goer, and you've been really nervous about what conventions are gonna look like as they come back, do not worry. People out there are good, they're smart, they're kind, and honestly, we just want to get back to convention life. We just want to go back to being cosplayers in a cool community, supporting other artists, becoming characters ourselves, and just kind of like living our best cosplay life. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope it gave you a little spark in your step. Maybe you're gonna go finally buy that costume you've been wanting to buy, or maybe you're gonna go home and put your hand through all of your costumes in your closet and just say, I love all your costumes and I'm so glad I made you. I'm so proud of myself. Like, do something positive for you. This whole year has been a catastrophe, and you know, things are gonna get better. Things are going to look up. All of us hobby cosplayers are out there and we're just like ready for a convention to go to and to meet people and see people again. So anyways, thank you guys so much again for watching. I'll see you back here for the next video, maybe some reviews coming up, who knows? And I hope you guys have a good day. Bye guys.